And he's the whole reason for which he's carrying on this campaign, so that your vote can mean something. So that your vote doesn't get wiped out by 100,000 fraudulent, meaningless paper ballots that no one gets to observe.
President Trump is going to win. We're just going to have to go to court. We have a full Supreme Court now with more right-leaning or conservative, I don't like to say right-leaning, conservative constitutional judges. We're in the middle of a constitutional crisis, but everything is set for us to win. And we've got so much evidence of shenanigans, skullduggery, fraud, and straight-up lying and deception that it's a foregone conclusion that the Democrats are stealing the election of 2020. They will be stopped. They are being stopped. This will go to the Supreme Court, and we will prevail. They're also trying to steal the House and the Senate so they can usher in their Marxist revolution. This will be challenged. There will be recounts. There will be certifications of the vote. How is it that California, which is in the West Coast and is behind the East Coast of Pennsylvania, was able to turn in their vote count on the day of election, but Pennsylvania was not? Could it be because Pennsylvania is key to the Democrats stealing the election? And because President Trump barely eked it out in 2016, that there has been a plan there from the very beginning to throw things into chaos and give it to Joe Biden after the official count. They have voting machines, which supposedly are quicker than humans. That's why we use machines. Yet they can't give us the in-person voting in Philadelphia. So we're just talking about one part of Pennsylvania a day after. But California was able to do that and mail-in ballots. Something's fishy is going on here, folks. I hope that you can join me in thanking our Father in Heaven that Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed and sworn in before Election Day. This is going to be very, very key. Ballots that haven't yet been received. They may be postmarked by Election Day, but they weren't received by Election Day. And come on, folks. There's plenty of time to send the ballots in and get the ballots in so that they're not coming in 48 hours later. And then, of course, what's at play here was that this was a rule extension that was not done constitutionally by, if I'm correct, the Pennsylvania state legislature. It's something that their election people did or someone else made this rule. And it's not legal and not constitutional. And that is the legal and constitutional framework that with which the Trump legal team is working. The Trump team wants to get in there, not just stop these things, but also want to get up there and observe the counting of them. But for instance, in Detroit and other places, we have footage of them blocking, putting things up so that the observers can't even observe what's really going on. And these late ballots shouldn't count anyway. We have an election day, not election week, not election weekend, not election month, but an election day.
To be allowed by law to observe the counting of the ballots. Now, observe means, to any intelligent person, being able to look at it. The way it's interpreted by the Democrat crooked machine of Philadelphia is that the observers can be 20 or 30 feet away, never able to see the ballot itself.
The Democrats, we want transparency, we want a free democracy. What would be the real reason why they would not want observers to observe the job they're doing? There's only one possible answer. They don't want to be caught or seen cheating. There's no other reason why. There's no other reason under the sun that the Democrats would fight back against observers observing the counting of the ballots unless they are trying to cheat.
And let me also add that this isn't happening just here. We have exactly the same lawsuit in Wisconsin, where exactly the same thing happened. Except in Wisconsin, mysteriously at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, about 120,000 ballots appeared. Oh, here come these ballots. Well, we have no idea if they really are ballots. We have no idea if they're signed, if they're postmarked properly, if it isn't just the same person who submitted 100,000 ballots.
Those are all in the swing states that President Trump was doing well in, but the mainstream media was gaslighting and saying it was close. Isn't that just an interesting coinkydink? Suitcases and coolers rolled into Detroit voting center at 4 a.m., just like President Trump called it, brought into secure counting area. All right, so what you're seeing here is footage taken by Kelly Sorrell, a Texas lawyer and a member of Lawyers for Trump. You can see a person in a white van was filmed loading up a red wagon outside the ballot counting location and bringing it inside. Laurel released a video to Texas Scorecard because she wanted to raise alarms that the box may have been a ballot box that arrived long after all ballots were expected to have been received at the counting facility. The website reports that other images appear to show suitcases and coolers moving in and out of the secure area where mail-in ballots were being counted during a shift change at 4 a.m. Wow, President Trump even called the time, right? The report continues on to say that, according to Sorrell,
until the polling places were closed. And yet we have a box.
Visitors were able to enter the facility where the votes are being counted without any identification check. The workers were apparently working in 6-hour shifts, meaning they did not have a need for overnight luggage. The Trump campaign has filed a lawsuit to stop the counting of ballots until the campaign is granted access to ensure there is no cheating.
Tell us where you work.
I work in the Traverse City Post Office, more specifically the Barlow branch.
Your boss told you and your colleagues something that shocked you this morning. What was it?
We were issued a directive this morning to collect any ballots we find in mailboxes, collection boxes, just outgoing mail in general, separate them at the end of the day so that they could hand stamp them with the previous day's date. Today is November 4th, for clarification.
So 8 p.m. Election Day, November 3rd. The Court of Appeals ruled ballots have to be received by that time. And what were you told?
To separate them today so they could mark them with yesterday's date and send them through the express system to wherever they needed to go.
This appears to be an attempt to circumvent Michigan law and allow late votes.
Yes.
What made you come forward?
That's sketchy. I don't like sketchy. It screams corruption. Also, knowing the post office's leanings politically, it didn't seem quite right.
Here we go, just to give you an idea. Milwaukee City Wire analysis, 7 Milwaukee wards report more 2020 presidential votes than registered voters. This is not Fox News, this is not OAN, this is not the BCP report or open source news making stuff up. This is from the Milwaukee City Wire today, November 4th. 7 Milwaukee wards report more 2020 presidential votes than registered voters. If someone crunched the numbers on this, that means that the voter turnout is nearly 90% when all these numbers are crunched, which is statistically impossible. And in Pennsylvania, that we've been talking about, 2 more batches of Pennsylvania votes were reported, 23,000 votes in Philadelphia. All of them for Biden. All of them for Biden. That is statistically impossible. There's third party, there's people that will vote for Trump, and there's people who make errors and leave things blank. How is it that all 23,277 votes all went for Biden? And in Lucerne County, there was 5,300 votes, 4,000 of which went for Biden. It doesn't end there. 7 voters older than the oldest human being alive today voted in Michigan, including 1 man born in 1850. There were at least 7 voters in Michigan last night who were born before 1902. North Carolina won't update their total vote count until November 12th. And what does that mean? That means they can't give President Trump the win. A few hours ago, Team Joe needs people to go door to door to help voters fix their mail-in ballots so they can count, sign up. And now you're hearing about all of these rallies and protests. Every vote count. Every legitimate vote counts, but not every illegitimate vote counts. Therefore, you can't say that every vote counts. Illegal votes don't count. Dead people votes don't count. Late votes don't count. You snooze, you lose. If you don't turn your ballot in on time or go in on person, you don't get to have your vote count. The Constitution is very clear, and we are a constitutional republic. There is an election day. Luckily, Trump camp has filed suit in Georgia to stop counting ballots, and this seemed to come on the heels of Biden camp seeking volunteers to go door to door. I just showed that to you. And they're filing a suit over absentee ballots in Georgia. The Trump campaign filed a lawsuit in Georgia requesting the Georgia order a county to account for ballots that were apparently received after 7 p.m. on Election Day, a report said. The suit is the 3rd by the Trump campaign in battleground states. And this came from an allegation of a Republican observer. This is why Rudy Giuliani's talking about how we need observers in there, who saw a poll worker take unprocessed ballots and mix it in with processed ballots that were waiting to be counted in Chatham County. Trump, once again, filed a 3rd lawsuit of the day. And once again, I just showed that to you. This is the official announcement. President Trump and his team are fighting for the good of the nation to uphold the rule of law, and the Georgia's law is very clear. To legally count mail-in ballots must be received by 7 p.m. on Election Day. You can't change the rules because you don't like them, Democrats. And you can't cheat because you have a piss-poor candidate after 4 years ago having another piss-poor candidate.